So it is,
Go to that.
are you it's 12:08.
It wasn't for
Everyone, it's 12:08, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We were waiting for Nadine and Derek who went downtown. You know, we do things by habit. But we also, Keith is teaching a class at Nashville,
Nadine and Derek.
and he's gonna have to leave a little early today. So let's go ahead and,
That's why we look a little light.
what'd you say?
I didn't realize what you just said.
Okay.
People are direction impaired.
I don't know, I like put it in red, I don't, it's like, I feel like sometimes I nag.
Katie,
Well, I wasn't gonna prove it today. I'm gonna prove it tomorrow.
So we're waiting for Nadine
I'm
and she's
Googling
on
how
her way.
to prove it.
So, pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take note of the Nashville Public Library Board that the appeal to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with their attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. And under public comments pursuant to TCA 84412, time is reserved at the beginning of the library meetings for which there is an actionable item on the agenda for public comment germane to items on the agenda. Up to 5 people will be allowed up to 3 minutes each to speak. Speakers must register within 1/2 hour prior to the beginning of the meeting by signing their name on a physical sign-up sheet available at the entrance and identifying any agenda item on which they intend to comment. Do we have anyone today? I don't have much either to say, but Terry and I went to the minority caucus at Meharry, and it was wonderful. Great meeting. So we got a chance to meet with, all the council people that were there, and usually you have a lot of government officials, but the public, is there. So it was good.
That was
It's
nice.
something that we needed to do. She'll talk about it more. And I just want to thank Kate for hosting the early literacy kickoff.
No snow this time.
I know that, Rosin, you were out of town, and Keith was out of town. But Charles was there, Kate of course was there, Katie was there, serving as, chair. But it was a great turnout, and I think we've had the most board members there at any of those kind of events that we've had, so it was good to have all the board people interacting, so they got to ask us questions and talk about what we're doing as well. Then I was also involved in the meeting, you saw in Terry's report, involved in the meeting with Terry, Susan Dry, and Joyce Stiles. I'm glad I went. I was like, am I going to this? And I showed up. I'm so glad. I learned so much from Susan, and we can talk about this later when we talk about what we want to do at a retreat. But the back end stories about what the needs of the library needs, the physical facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And why it has taken so long, and the history of the whole thing. Y'all, you think what we having to deal with goes back years. I had no idea. And that was the first time I heard all that when she explained it to Joyce Stiles. I'm like, oh my God. So I think some of those things you need to know, and why
Susan.
Susan, I'm sorry, Susan
Yeah,
Grice,
I see.
was explaining to Joy, and I was just sitting there, wow, I had no idea.
What was she explaining?
She was talking about the trees in the library and how they came to be and how it was compared to the Boston Library, but how they found out the architectural plans when they thought they were doing something similar, it was really different, and what the architect, or I don't know if it's the contractor, chose to do it for that library, that's different. That has caused all the issues that we're having. We sit there and approve it, but I think it would be good for us to know, and Susan's not here today, but it would be good for us to know that. Because when we talk to the council, people is like, why can't you all fix that? You know, I had a chance to talk to a council person at the Meharry event with the caucus, and she said to me that all of the council people say, so-and-so's wrong with my library, so this is something, do you know this is wrong with this library? Well, there's stories involving it, they go back years, and we don't know that. So, that's just a short answer to that. And I'm so sorry, I always do that, don't I? I want to tell you too, I had the pleasure of serving on an interview panel for a young woman who was applying for a scholarship. It's called the E.S. Rose Scholarship. It's named for Reverend E.S. Rose in this area. It's a Belmont scholarship, a full-time scholarship. And one of the young ladies wove into her, they have to not give a presentation, they have to write a letter, essay, all of that. And she talked about her time with the Nashville Public Library. I didn't say anything until, you know, she got through talking until the end, and I told her I was on the library board. Because I asked her, what do you do at the library? And she talked about her experience and how she learned to read books. And she is also working at the teen center, and she talked about her interaction with the teens and what leadership skills she has learned from all of that. And at the time, she didn't know I was on the board. I was just asking her questions.
She got the scholarship, didn't she?
She got the scholarship. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And I can't think of her name right now, but very impressive young lady. And to know that the young people that with whom we are working are using the experiences to talk about, to these universities to talk about, you know, what they're doing and how they learned it and how it's made them better people and worthy of a full-time scholarship somewhere. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It was great. It was really good. You know, and with there was an interview panel of 3 people and a staff person, so they got to hear it too. It was good. So that's it. I told Terry, and I know we have to approve minutes, but I told Terry we've been dealing with a lot of all the board meetings, and I kind of feel like we have neglected some of the reports and everything back here. So let's when Terry gives her reports, let's ask any questions that you want to give about any of the materials that we have sent. So that's it for me. And have you had an opportunity to read the February 20th minutes?
Yes.
Are there any corrections, additions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I will second.
Have a motion by Kate, second by Jarvis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, minutes approved. Terry, your show.
Okay, so I have my report is probably a little bit longer than it usually. Based on the agenda, I try to make sure that we don't keep you all way over, and we had been doing that lately. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those as well. But I just wanted to acknowledge Lee Booley served as our representative for the this year's participatory budget. So the participatory budget last year was really focused on North Nashville, and so we were able to get some things at the Bordeaux branch and also the Luby branch. But this year, the mayor had expanded it beyond, and so the actual community, put in like what would they like to see at particular locations. And so I don't know, Lee, do you want to talk about the fact? So we did get $900,000. I know, so I'll let her expand on that.
So the participatory budget process is community-led. Community members put forward ideas. The participatory budget committee makes sure that they're feasible, and then the public had the opportunity to vote on them. So we are going to be looking at things like expanding our Southeast Asia collection, our musical instrument collection, installing pollinator gardens at 3 branch locations, and offering digital literacy training, and working with Autism Tennessee on a training.
And the nice thing is that this, all of these have it built in so that we can afford to be able to hire people to be able to do the musical instrument training or
Right.
the internet literacy training. And it's for 3 branches. It's Hermitage, Goodlettsville, and Madison. So, but once we get the musical instruments, then again, the nice thing is that, we already circulate the library of things. And so again, this will be something that Noel volunteered because we would not have a place to keep all the musical instruments in the regionals. And so they'll most likely be housed at Maine. But Susan met with Lee and the branch managers to put together a plan because we have the year to be able to spend that money.
Right, we'll start working on it immediately, and it's really too soon to say like how long it will take to complete, but we'll start working on it immediately with the goal to complete it within the year, like Terry said.
And this is,
So-
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
What I heard was Goodlettsville, Hermitage, and Madison. So help me to understand the thought process as to where it will go, and does that mean that the other libraries already have it in place?
What-
Just so that I understand.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is completely community-driven. So those locations, it meant that there was somebody in Davidson County a Davidson County resident that put forward a proposal for those locations. The library's role in this actually wasn't to select the locations or the projects. It was to just say, like, we can do the work, and then now that we have the funding, to get busy doing that work.
Roslyn, this started under Mayor Cooper, and he called it the participatory budget. So I know, like, I'm in the Edgehill Village Neighborhood Association, so we could put forth a product, like if you wanted, we didn't get ours because they wanted speed breakers down there. You could say anything that you wanted for your neighborhood or whatever. Yeah, so this is what this is. It's not it was not in our budget. That the city, Davidson County just set aside a certain amount of money in the Cooper budget. It was called
$2 million.
participatory.
$2 million.
And you had to, the neighborhoods had to recommend somebody to serve on the committee to decide who was gonna get the money.
So it didn't necessarily have to be for the library.
Exactly. It
Oh,
was
it
for
is not.
everybody. Yeah.
They did
It's
parks, there were
huge,
lots
yes.
of, there were 40 things.
Plant trees, you could
Yeah.
do anything you wanted to do. And these people
So-
decided on the library.
Is the money to pay for, to train people in the library to help other people learn how to play the instruments? Who's being trained? Librarians, or are we creating programs for the public? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I didn't,
No, I think you answered it. So this is in addition to our regular operating budget?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is like
Is this
icing.
the money that used to go kind of slush fund for each council member? Is this sort of where that all involved from?
Well, I kind of think it probably is, but
I don't think that it was ever explained like where it came from. No, it's okay.
Is it possible, would it be possible, well, where feasible, to, if we're hiring people, are we hiring people or contracted with
We have a
them?
contract.
Yeah, the contract is, can we get people from the neighborhoods to do that? To bid on?
I think that's a great idea. It'll come under Terry's direction.
HR probably.
Well, and the nice thing is because, I mean, probably we have to figure out, with it being a contract position and not necessarily a metro position. So we can't, I think the one thing is it would be nice if it was someone from the neighborhood, but we also have to think about making sure that whoever has the skills to teach those. But I think, we could definitely try that.
start there.
Start there, exactly. So, yeah, and it was really neat. I got to attend the year before the actual, like, the folks that were, the communities that were affected in North Nashville with getting the participatory money last year, and to see that the like joy that people were able to get speed bumps in their neighborhood, and just lighting and things like that. So it was making a difference to that community. And so then with it being expanded, we were actually, again, what they do for us is just send it to us and say, is this something that we can do? We're like a clearinghouse versus that we choose about it. So it's nice that this came from the community. Okay, so the next thing is on February 28th, I presented our fiscal year 25 budget request to the mayor's office and the finance department. It went really well, and now, you know, we wait until Mayor O'Connell will announce what is recommended to move forward. I think the message has been pretty clear, not just in that meeting, but in even going to the committee meeting that I went to a couple weeks ago, that we're anticipating a flat budget. And so our hope is we prioritized what we asked for, and so hopefully we'll get, for sure, we need to get the Donaldson, the extra half a year funding, because we weren't opening the library until June. We received funding for 6 months out of last year's budget. So we'll need to make sure that, you know, we get that, because we can't have that library be open without that, but hopefully be able to get some of the other, especially branch services. I mean, those positions, you know, we are reopening Bellevue, and so we were a little spoiled since December to have that staff to be able to work at other locations. And it is getting more and more difficult when people call out sick or need to take a vacation just to keep all of the 21 locations open. So, so we'll look forward to seeing what Mayor O'Connell moves forward. The foundation budget is my next item. And so the admin team has already met twice to talk about the FY25 requests, and our final recommendations are due April the 1st. And so this is an area where I work with the admin team on our unrestricted dollars, because we get restricted funding and we get unrestricted funding. So there's always twice as much asked for in unrestricted than what we have. And so working with the admin team to narrow down to get within the, we think it'll be 330,000 or a little bit more for that. And then I work really closely with Linda because so much of the education and literacy items are a part of the restricted funds. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was that Councilmember Stiles, after we had the meeting just with her to talk about the facilities, what her concern is that the council really wants to see if we're being allocated this money for facilities, that we're being good stewards and we're moving forward and putting the money, you know, actually spending it. And Susan did a really, really good job. She had it in a spreadsheet for this is branches and this is Main. And that's when it got into explaining just the light switches at Main, the elevators at Main, beside the courtyard. I mean, there are so many things. But the nice thing is, that we're working on those, and she was very pleased with the fact that we were moving forward and spending the money, and we've been given some really good funding in that area. But the reality is, when somebody asks, why is my branch closed, and Ashley there she is. You know, she will tell you that when we started with Edgehill, you know, we thought it was going to be 2 weeks. And then because of the clay pipes and the age of those clay pipes, they got in, and then it ended up being, you know, a lot more time. And so, you know, our staff is on top of it. They're doing what they can. It's just that and what I keep trying to explain to council is when you have the age of the buildings that we have, you know, this is from mid-century. We have some that are over 100 years old, one from 1937, you know, when something happens, it's really difficult to determine. And then we use the contractors that are approved by Metro. And then
Yeah.
And so then what happens with that is not only was the tile not installed correctly the first time, it wasn't installed correctly a second time. And so, that's the kind of thing where, again, we're doing what we need to do. But I think what I'd like, since Susan is on vacation this week for her kids' spring break, but she has the spreadsheet. And so hopefully for our next meeting, she will be talking about, for those of you that were here way back when we did the retreat at Bellevue, when this was Ken's time, she did that same thing. So I think it would just be good for you all to see that we are working on it. But even with the elevators, like the first part of the project is 5 weeks. And so you have to reroute people to a different, we realize how spoiled we are because we're being rerouted to the different elevators all over the building. So I just wanted you to know that. So at Councilmember Stiles' request, she said, well, why don't you come to, it's the Public Facilities, Art and Culture Committee. So she asked for me to come the last meeting, which was 2 weeks on Thursday. And it was really a great opportunity because I think one of the things I've learned with council is that there's just things out in the universe. And I think it's good for us to be able to talk about what's really happening here at the library, and that even though there is an interim in this position, that we are moving forward, that we're not sitting back and not doing everything, things that we need to do. And so that was a really good opportunity for them to see what we have done, but to also even share Begin Bright with them. And you should have seen people light up when we were talking about that. I took the brochure, I took the annual report, and they gave us the entire time to talk to them. So that was really nice. But I think the more that we can have those meetings, the better it is, because, not everybody has time to sit down one-on-one like Councilmember Stiles did with us. So that was really a great opportunity. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this is at the very early stages, is that Lee and I have been involved in the ever popular NECAT, and because, and I say ever popular because we have until originally 2025, the end of January, for our lease with Nashville State. So one of the things that was going to happen is that in the capital spending plan, we were going to have $6 million to actually renovate the old Donaldson. But one of the things when it came down to it was that we got $15.6 million for the capital spending plan. And if we are talking about moving the system forward, then Marjorie Palmer Wallace talked with Lee and I about, is there something else we can do besides renovate Donaldson? Because the reality is there's going to be the Global Mall location that has just been acquired, with the last administration. And that could be a better fit for us because there's going to be artists and all kinds of really neat things that are going on. But the problem was we have that whole, we have to move out of Nashville State by that date. And so it was really great. Marjorie actually went and met with Dr. Jackson, and Dr. Jackson said she was willing to consider an extension, because originally we were like, there is no chance of an extension. And so there is an opportunity for us to hopefully work with schedules, because their music department was going to move in and do some things. But because of the NECAT schedule, what we're hoping is that we can coexist in the space, but we're still working on the particulars, because that will have to go before even the state, because that Nashville State, if we extend the lease, it has to go through that. So what we're just, trying to do is making sure that we're planning not just for the transition if it happens, but then what happens beyond the transition. So Lee and I have been in meetings. When it says the mayor's office, that's where we've been going, is to talk with Marjorie about NECAT. And she asked some really good questions, and I think she really understands NECAT. And so hopefully we'll have a plan to bring back to you, but I did want you to know we are talking with them. Did you want to add anything else that I forgot?
I just want to be clear. You mentioned that Nashville State may be expanding,
Extending.
expanding, I just want to make sure. And I'm a big GCAT man, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your support, Mr. Rand.
We appreciate that.
I think you said it really well, Terry. The great thing about a potential extension is it gives us more time to really be intentional with our plan and not rush it. There's good work being done at NECAT, and we just want to be really good stewards of the responsibility we've been given, and then to your point, of all the other needs of the library as well. So.
I always have a question about NECAT because I don't really understand what the mission is, what the metrics are. So, I love what we do, but I don't know why, and I don't know who the viewers, is it about viewership? Is it about training? And either one of those are good, but I don't know what. We can't be good at it if we don't know what. And I just don't understand what we're trying to do there.
Sure. Thank you. I would say that it is about training and workforce development for all aspects of television production, from the technology to do the cameras, the mics, the audio, to the content development as well. It is also putting out content to the public on 3 channels, 9, 10, and 19 on Comcast. It also streams through the Roku app. I wish Cameron was here to be able to talk about this. I know he's watching it live right now because he's been telling me when the mics are doing things. But the education, arts, and public access channels. So the public access is kind of like your town hall soapbox of years in the past where anybody can come and talk about anything. So it's a free speech platform. But we work with members. I will say that NECAT does a really excellent job of the diversity of the individuals, and I mean all types of diversity, the individuals and the content they create. So it's a great way for a community to connect and to learn these skills.
So, how many people do we want to impact in a year? Is it growing? How many people watch? I just don't know that.
It is growing. We welcomed
I was trying to find my
around
notes.
27 new members in the past 2 months. I have the metrics. I created a
Yeah.
PowerPoint for Marjorie. I could share it with you. That may be the best thing
That
to
would
do.
be terrific. I'm sure that would answer a lot.
We can put it on a future agenda too, so we can ask you, if we have the information, then we'll know what our gaps in knowledge are.
Yeah.
We can ask you.
And Kate, I would say I have the privilege and honor to see how they work a little bit more often due to the fact they are on Nashville State campus. So,
Well, I've been there. It's amazing. I just don't know, for whom, to whom, and for how many. And
What the big vision is.
Yeah.
Going ahead, something like that.
Yeah.
So Lee was on the agenda for January when we ended up having the snow cancellation to talk more about. She has an entire PowerPoint, but then we were like, well, we might want to wait until then we started meeting with the mayor's office. And so we didn't want to do the presentation. And then one of the hardest things, Kate, is that you can't tell about the number of viewers. We can tell you the number of people that were trained and all of that. The other thing we asked Cameron to do was to put together, he did a really good job about what are some strategic partnership opportunities with Nashville State. Because they teach classes in early literacy, they teach classes in workforce development. Yeah. So could we partner with their professors to then come and, do some, one of the things Cameron has here was to actually have, job fairs to talk to the students. He talked about doing a film series of public service announcements on how to go back to school as an adult learner. So he actually did a really good job with that. So we're going to go ahead and meet with we meet with Marjorie again this week to continue planning, because there's lots of pieces involved in this.
Who's involved the board, as if you need help with them, I know you're at National State.
Right.
You can go involved. But the lease agreement with the state, if we need to talk to the legislature, let us know.
Thank you. Can I share just a couple of cool projects, collaborations between NECAT, the library, and the community? So NECAT was, to our knowledge, the first station to live broadcast the Juneteenth fireworks. We, on February 10th, did a partnership with the Chinese Arts Alliance of Nashville to create a broadcast of their celebration at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And we're currently working on a sustainability documentary with members of the Sustainability Committee, highlighting work that the library is doing, and then also within Metro Nashville.
Yeah, and it's been difficult to expand programming because of the amount of staffing that is actually at NECAT when it moved over from ITS. So that's one of the reasons that we asked for an additional position for NECAT for this year to hopefully be able to expand. One of Cameron's idea was to do like a production one class in both the spring and the fall, like with the students there on campus. And so I think the nice thing is this is a really, like I told Marjorie, during this last, 19 months, Lee really has done a great job of like being the administrative person that works with NECAT. But this has really allowed me an opportunity to really get to understand more, like you're saying, what we're doing there. So, and I think
if I were a Comcast advertiser, they'd be able to tell me who was watching my ad. So why can't they tell us who's watching our show?
But NECAT is not Comcast.
I know, but wait, you
it's
mentioned that
equipment.
Comcast was doing it.
Right. I will try to say this as accurately as possible when I haven't prepared ahead of time to talk to this. I know.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
No,
I'm
these
just-
are great
Okay.
questions. I can answer it. So Comcast has an agreement with Metro Nashville to run on the poles, like use the lines. And as part of that agreement, Comcast, who has 93,000 customers in Davidson County, does many things for Metro Nashville in terms of monetary donation, like money given, and also earmarks 3 channels for Metro to put out the public access, the arts, and the education channels, and a certain amount of funding that we do. Well, it's actually 4 channels because of your Metro Nashville network, where you see your city council meetings. That's also part of that whole agreement. So then there's a certain amount of money that has been earmarked for us to share with Metro ITS for equipment, for both the studio that we have on the Nashville Metro ITS.
I'm sorry, ITS.
Oh, Information Technology Services. Sorry, thank you. I know acronyms, I'm sorry.
watching the Metro ITS is just who runs all the website,
Okay.
all the IT for Metro is housed in Metro
Right.
ITS.
So Keith Durbin
Right.
is really in charge of that agreement, the CIO of Nashville. But we're currently, Metro Nashville, is who I mean when I say we are, currently renegotiating the agreement with Comcast to see what the money will be for this work, in addition to the work that ITS does.
Great question. Is there anything else?
so. Well, for the April meeting, we'll go ahead and have Susan come and talk about the facilities piece. Also, your April meeting, you will need to do your board elections, just to make sure. Last year, to be honest, because this was the first year that I had been in this position, I didn't even know. And then I think we did that in June. So I just wanted to get us back on track to doing it for every April. So we'll have that. The other thing I wanted to mention is Nadine has been very generous in giving her time and meeting with me she has the expertise in continuous improvement planning. And so one of the things I talked to Joyce about is, normally you would be, it's time for a strategic plan. And that was put on hold, knowing that, how do you look out 3 to 5 years and during this time? So Nadine and I have had 3 meetings, and then we're working on a date for her to come and to meet with the administrative team so that we can put together a continuous improvement plan. Is for 1 year. And what we'll be doing is identifying like what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what are our threats, and then putting together. But she's going to help to instruct us in how to then, for each of the admin team members to go back and work with their staff so that then we can bring that from, the staff up and come up with 3 to 4 priorities that we want to identify for working on. So we'll probably look at that as starting hopefully the new fiscal year and then moving forward. So would you like to add anything to that?
No, you captured it perfectly.
Okay, but.
The framework for those that are interested is the Kaizen model, which is a Japanese model, which I think you all probably know what it is. So we're using that framework to teach our staff how to properly use it.
Great.
Joyce, I'm gonna have to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to leave.
Your class.
Retreat is on here. Do we have a date?
We do not have a date. I was gonna ask you about time. When I talked to Terry, we were talking about sometime maybe September after all vacations.
Okay.
And we wanted to, the work that Nadine is doing with the staff, that would already be done. And what else would we wanna include so that we,
I think it's a great idea.
and we wanna talk a little bit today about what we want, but you can send us that.
But that's a long time away, September.
Yes, but they have to have time to
Yeah.
do this continuous improvement planning. Because notice she's saying that it's going to the leadership and they're gonna back down and do it with their staff. And so it's gonna come back up to us so that we can then, they'll be able to capture what the priorities are for all the departments.
Katie, am I hearing that, would you all like to have something before then and then we come back to you in September with
Say
the?
no.
I say no, and I also feel like if it either has to happen by mid-June or it has to be September, and mid-June is like tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah,
basically,
we've talked about
everybody's.
security issues, we've talked about staffing issues, we've talked about salary issues for a long time. And I just feel like we need some information and at least be thinking about ways to manage all those things that are pretty important. Y'all pull together, we read the story every month.
We read the story every month. And while we're on that, do you have any questions? Like I know that at the last meetings, we really had not had time to delve into the report, and we didn't discuss in depth like the finance, page 18, to see what Terry, as a part of Terry's report, did you have in it? Thank you. Hope your class goes well. It said 150 people. That's what he's doing. I was like, oh my God.
No pressure.
First session, shrink down to about 10.
There's a sucker
Good
born every
luck.
minute.
It'll be great.
So page 18, I don't know if you all had any questions about the finances. Why do they call that free balance instead of just balance? That's a crazy question, but.
That's more of the collection budget, Lee, on the page 18 at the top.
Okay. But you have the foundation in there, the grants, Donaldson, all of that.
Well, before you get to page 18, there's nothing but great news in terms of usage, participation.
Yes.
Internet usage, I mean, all these, and everything is on an upward trend and it's above where it was before the pandemic and really great.
It's really, the staff is doing an incredible job. And the other thing before we move on, and think of your questions well, one of the things I wanted to mention is that when you look at the page that has vacancies, we really work hard about filling the vacancies because, the reality is with 425 staff, we usually carry, an average of 30 to 40 vacancies. But since the pandemic, it had been higher, like it had been in the 60s. So now it's coming down. And as of yesterday, Sherry reported that we had 41 vacancies. But one of the things is that the council has created a committee to actually look at vacancies. So as of March 31st, they're going to look and say, okay, the library has this amount of vacancies and they'll be using that information for the budget, for the operating budget for coming up. So one of the things I explained to the committee, I had Susan do an average over the last 10 years of our vacancies, and we usually always have carried 30 to 40, and it's part of the Metro process for filling vacancies. Is right now, like Jenna will say, we have, 8 or so circulation assistants, but right now we're in the process of reposting that position so that then you do the interview process and then you hire folks. So one of the things for us too is that we promote internally. So on Monday, you might have 8 staff that start, and that's really great, but then that created 7 vacancies because circulation assistants were moving up to program specialists. So we are always going to carry, what Sherry has reminded us over the last 6 months is just really looking at some vacancies that have been going back, farther than, like, I'll use the example of Bernie's position that is an administrative specialist. So I just, the panel just finished last week, going through and interviewing. We did phone interviews and then second interviews. So hopefully that position will be filled within the next couple of weeks. So we have been really intentional about filling these vacancies. It's just really difficult with, sometimes you have to wait. When you have a posting, you have to wait 6 months before you can repost it. But the good news is all 3 of the, all the manager 3 positions are filled, and so we're moving forward with that as well.
That's why it was so good for us to talk to the council people about procurement, and Susan really opened my eyes about what she has to go through procurement, and what we have to go through with the PR processes, the hiring processes, and how this impacts us for what we, need to do. Council didn't know a lot of it. We don't know a lot of it. And I think that council member, I had an opportunity to talk a few minutes with council member Porterfield. And so since council doesn't know all of this, she is appointing a task force to really look at procurement. And see, so procurement impacts us it impacts so much of Susan's work and the contractors that she has to hire to do all the work. And then the process that we go through for HR and how we report. So it looks like you have a lot of vacancies, but they're in process. So we don't want money to be taken away from the budget, because on paper, it looks like we have vacancies. So all of this is very important for us to know. And so that when we talk to council people, we can talk about the way the process has impact on our data and actually the way we work at the library. How it impacts our staff, our customers, all of this impacts us.
Terry, I'm kind of curious. Is the library working with nonprofit workforce development agencies to fulfill these positions?
No, we actually go through the Metro procurement process, so we have to have.
Well, in addition to that, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But I wish Sherry was here because she could talk about, there are lots of organizations that once we send it to Metro and it's approved and they post it, it goes to lots of organizations to hopefully be able to get more people to apply for the positions.
Your community partners.
Yes.
We also run job openings on our social media. We started doing that
Oh, good.
about 2 years ago. Received okay traction.
So I have 2 short other things. One is that we did have our first, Rochelle Jones from our Metro Human Resources DEI. We put together a 3-step plan that will hopefully, this will serve as a pilot that we can then take out to across the system. But he's starting with the Southeast staff. And so their first actual training was last Thursday. So that was talking about diversity and your style. Like they took the I can't think of the name, it's not the Myers-Briggs, but they took strength finders.
No, strength finders.
Yeah, so they took strength finders and then they did an entire 3 hours on, how are we alike, how are we different, and staff was very excited about, the opportunity to be able to have that time to have the training. And so now we'll go into the second part is creating a welcoming environment. And the third part is more historical about how we each come, every day and bring ourselves and the history of ourselves to the workplace. And so that's that again is hopefully, Rogel, then we take that to the other regions across and into the system once we do this first one. And then the last thing is that we're meeting, Andrea Fanta and I are going to meet with the mayor's office and talk about Bruce was really interested in the mayor's office because during my presentation for the operating budget, they asked, how do I know what my customers want? And I said, well, wow, that was a really timely question. So we had already talked about doing 4 customer service surveys. So one would be specific to customer service, one would be for collections, one would be for programming, and then the other one would be for probably facilities and security. So he's just mostly interested in seeing like where we're going with this and is there a way that the mayor's office, like in his position, he could help us. So that's, I think, next week or the following week that we meet with him, but that is in the works. And
Which he is it?
oh, so what's Bruce's last? I can't believe I can't think of it right
I
now.
can see his face, but I can't.
I know. I can send that to you, Kate.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. Well, now you're after my security. That's the 4th thing on your list, but I mean, that's good information.
No, I just felt like, one of the things I did say to them is we know, the good news is without even doing the surveys, that with all the metrics, all of our key metrics are up across the board. So if we weren't doing a good job, then if you start to look at, oh my gosh, the program numbers are down. So what is that? Is it the wrong time of the day? Are we providing the wrong topic, the wrong program? So I one of the good things is we have a natural way to already see how our customers feel by how they use us and the number of programs they attend and everything like that. So I think there's lots of good things going on right now. So I just wanted, since we didn't have a full agenda, be able to share some of the things that are in the works.
Well, your list of meetings that you do is great. But
It is.
what you said today, I mean, those were some of my questions, like what's going on in the mayor's office, so thank you.
And with the security, you talk about, Kate, I did get the question during my reappointment process from one of the council persons because they asked, why did we put people out of the library and all that information. And, I had an opportunity, Terry couldn't be this, I had an opportunity to go with Rosalind to hers, but Terry was there with me, so I was really happy because I don't know the detail necessarily of the process, but she was able to address that. And since that time, and again, I know Susan's not here today, but since that time, I was at a meeting in where Sheriff Darren Hall talked about the way the Sheriff's Department is addressing mental illness, so that, because he said that the jail, if you call, and a lot of parents, who are dealing with, especially adults who are mentally ill, they call the police, but basically that puts the person in jail and they have to stay there 72 hours, is that right there? I think they have to stay there 72 hours, where if you
Well, it depends on what type of hold.
Well,
So it could be up to 72 hours.
if you work with the sheriff's department, then they don't have that on the arrest record. They go through the sheriff's department, and when they built the new jail, he has a whole wing for mentally ill people. And they are not tied down to the timetable, we have to keep you for 72 hours. And they have trained counselors that can then figure out what programs people need to meet that need. So this would be a question for, in terms of our security, how do we tie in? Because most of our what we're doing, I've seen, is at the main, which is what we know that. So how can we work with the sheriff's department to actually get people help long-term that would help resolve some of this. So that's for another day and time. But the questions are coming to us for what we are doing, but we are not equipped to do that.
Right.
So how do we partner with another metro agency to help resolve that family's problems, but also help to resolve the problem at the library? That's what, yeah.
So given that you have access to this information
Mm-hmm.
and we learned recently, is there a way maybe we could help to meet around that before the retreat? Because it sounds
We
like
could
something
probably do.
that maybe it
We could,
goes with
that would probably
be
be talking your mic, he's gonna
Oh,
come run and
sorry.
get you. Snap you.
I am so sorry about that. I was recommending if we could have maybe if it's
It
the
was very
sheriff
enlightening.
or the programmatic partner that could kind of share with us ways in which we might mitigate that before the retreat so that we can talk
Maybe we
about
could, yeah.
that,
could
you know,
devote a
security
topic to
part.
that.
I mean, June 1 is closed, but that's 2.5
We
months
could-
away.
We could make that
2 months
happen,
away.
that's a phone call, yeah. We sat there, we were like, whoa, it's a great program.
And I wonder what other libraries across the country do. I always ask that.
I actually have that report, so I did ask our reference staff to look at and compare our lake libraries. The other part is belonging to the Urban Libraries Council. I actually get email, like the other library directors, we have an email group, which is really helpful because this week, like we were having issues at the East Branch where it was the teens, you know, they have the most door count after school than any of the other facilities. And so, you know, and then when it starts to escalate into the fighting, and it's still outside, but you're outside of the library. So it was really interesting because already this week I sent something to Susan on Sunday to show that there was another library director. I think people are experiencing, you know, some of those same issues across the board, but I did have the reference staff, Kate, do some research for when we talk about security.
So when it's appropriate, we'd love to see that.
Yeah,
And just
we'll
understand.
figure out, I'll try to make that call. What was disheartening to me though, what Sheriff Hall said, and it was said publicly, so I can repeat it here, it was at a Rotary meeting. He said that to get what he wanted, he had to lie. You know, that's what he said, to get the facility, he knew he wanted a new facility, but he said he pretty much had to lie to get what he wanted, because he knew he wanted that mental health part of it, because he said that part of that money, that saves him so much money. It saves the police department and it saves him so much money too. And he talked about that. But it's, again, it's how to systemically we work with government to get what's really needed. But everything is transparent. That's what I think we need to keep talking to leadership, government leadership about. How do we operate transparently to get what we really need for the city? So, anyway. All righty, I'm sorry.
So we could, I mean, what we could do is put that on as a new business agenda item or old business and just,
And I'll try to see, can
yeah,
I
and
make that
then
happen?
do it that way.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that would be,
We wouldn't have to
Sean,
wait till the retreat.
so sorry it took us so long.
No, that's all right.
This is a good meeting.
Good conversation. Just a couple updates. Joyce, you mentioned the kickoff for our early literacy campaign, which is called Begin Bright. And we are moving forward. We have outlined a plan with Katie's help in terms of asks and who we're going to be making the asks of, and have already had a great response. So we'll be excited to share some more numbers around that in upcoming meetings. And the library, we're working closely with Liz and Linda with the library to just make sure all our timelines are working in sync. So fundraising, we don't get too far ahead of where the programming is or vice versa. So that is, it's working well. It's big. And I'll say that again. I mean, it's the opportunities, and for it to be as transformational as we know it can be, it just means as the foundation, we're dedicating a lot of time to this. The library staff will be dedicating a lot of time to it. So again, just putting it out there of this is going to be an amazing opportunity that will once again set the Nashville Public Library out there as doing something that has not been done. And so it's very exciting and a lot of work, but we're seeing a path forward, and that's very exciting. And the response that we're getting from anyone that we're talking to is yes, proceed. We'll have another conversation next week with our potential research partner. We have not yet signed any contracts, but that is moving forward because we would want that in place really before we start any implementation. It is our hope that we're really looking still at a July 1 kind of implementation start date for that. So that's going great. I think it's keeping a lot of our schedules quite busy. I get to see Katie a lot.
May I add?
Yeah.
One thing?
Yeah.
And this is, I'm saying this to the broader library audience. And I'm also saying it to build you up, because you wouldn't be saying this on your own. But it is big. We are raising a lot of money, and we hope to raise even more money, but not at the expense of all the other, absolute stellar programs that the library has. And I don't want anybody to think that, oh, NAS is old news, or Limitless Libraries, that was yesterday, that's not today. That is not the case. The plan in this, and Sean says it, and she said it just really strongly at a meeting last night of the steering committee. When we ask donors for money for this, it can't be, well, why don't you give to Begin Bright now? Don't worry about what you've done in the past for Wishing Chair or for Limitless Libraries. In many cases, donors for other programs are not even on our list as targets to ask. And if they are on our list as targets to ask because they might have enough money to do more than one thing, we are saying, will you consider a one-time gift to Begin Bright? While continuing, so this is special, it's on top of, it is not, we're not going to come back next year as we will for Limitless Libraries or as we will for Wishing Chair Productions. And NASA and other things that are so critical to this city and to the reputation of the library. So I want to thank Sean for that, but also make sure that everybody feels comfortable that we're not borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Thank you, Katie. Just a couple other things. I know I've shared dates with you before. I'm just going to remind you. Couple upcoming things. We have our Carnegie Society Book Club on April 7th, and hope that you all will be able to participate. Picnic with the Library is our family-friendly fundraiser. That is Sunday afternoon, April 28th. And both of those are going to be just delightful events, very different events, but also just a lot of fun. But there will be a chance with both of those to really connect with the great resources of the library. And so people come, it's not just coming for a party, but it's coming and really being able to celebrate what the library is doing. So we're looking forward to that. I want to give a few updates on advocacy. Terry spoke to just the budget and the work there. I want to make sure you all know April 11th is Take Action for Libraries Day. And so what we will be doing for that, for a period from March 28th to April 11th, we will be encouraging patrons in all of our branches to write a note of thanks to Metro Council, to our mayor, just for their support of our libraries. So there will be postcards in all of the branches, and we will be collecting those, gathering those up, and then on April 18th, April 16th, it is a Metro Council meeting, Thursday, April 16th. Tuesday, April 16th, Tuesday, April 16th. And we would love any and all of you who are able to come. We will gather at 5:30 in front of the courthouse with all of our ambassadors. I know I've talked with you before. We have ambassadors that are representing all of our branches. We will be gathering for a group photo at 5:45. And then Councilmember Brenda Gadd, is putting forth a resolution that is thanking our library staff. And so this will be an opportunity for that. In addition, the resolution will be presented near the beginning. The meeting starts at 6:30, so you could plan to be out definitely no later than 7:30, but I would imagine even probably before that. So ideally, meet at 5:30, picture at 5:45, and then on the council members' desks, we're going to have an annual report, and we will also be presenting them with the personalized, and some of them general, some of them will be personalized thank you notes that have been written the 2 weeks before. So it is just a chance. Council will be thanking the library, it's really the community will be thanking council, and would love to have your attendance there. I know Joyce has talked about when we did this event last year, we filled the benches, or I think I used to call them pews, but the benches, for the first 3 or 4 rows with support for the library. And that is something that makes just a big difference.
Parks was so jealous.
Yeah, there's not really any other department that has a showing like the library. And so council sees that, and they recognize the importance of not just library board, but it's our community that is coming out saying our libraries are important to us. So that's a really important opportunity, but also just make note when you're in the library for those 2 weeks beforehand, take a minute to write a postcard. It can be personalized to your council member, or it can just be general. And that way we will put all of those together and have them on their desks for that meeting.
How are we, I know we had a second Black Women in Leadership tour. And are we asking those people who have gone on the tours to write cards? Are we doing that?
We haven't specifically, but it would be great. We are communicating with them about various things.
I mean, how do I get the card?
In the library.
So they're in the branch, we'll be putting in the
Go to
branches.
Okay.
That was kind of our plan.
Okay.
So it's really just encouraging people in that 2-week period when you're stopped by a branch, if it's not something that is on your schedule, to swing by one and write a couple notes.
Last year, you had to try to meet the council person there.
Yeah, I know, yeah. That's a good idea. I was just trying to figure out how electronically I could do it and just drop it at the library.
How are we thanking the mayor?
So people can write notes to the mayor as well. So he will have a packet of note cards as well.
Wow, great, thank you.
So what I'm hearing is you're in the library for that period, the 11th through the 18th. But what I'm also hearing from Joyce is those special groups that we have reached out to who have participated, be it the women, the men, whoever, if we could contact them and send them perhaps even a packet in the mail of those cards, they could drop them back off.
Yeah, we can
would be an
definitely
addition,
reach
too.
out
Figure out how,
and tell them that this is what we're doing. Just to make sure, the dates for the postcards that they'll be in the library is March, it's before the April 11th, sorry. March 28th through April 14th.
Great, because the meeting is the 16th. I
Yes,
guess.
yep. That will give us a couple days to
Okay.
put them all together and make sure everybody has a packet of thank you notes.
Yes.
If I'm at work, I have to pick up kids after. And a lot of people just like me, I'm getting my books online. I'm getting mine. So I want to come here, but if I could get the card, if I could figure out how to get the card online, I could print it and just drop it off. I run by and drop it off.
For those of you who are coming to the foundation board meeting, we'll have cards at the
Okay.
board meeting tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right,
That's it.
that's it,
Yep.
okay. All right,
Ready?
yeah.
So it is my pleasure to have Ashley Walker Tyler talk to you about the Edgehill branch. I have admired Ashley for a very long time. When I first started here, she was at the Edmondson Pike branch, and she is one of the most creative and innovative staff members in terms of thinking outside the box. And, during, as an example, during COVID, when the libraries weren't open, she actually had a Halloween event that was a drive-through for customers, and they stopped at 10 different locations. There was music and all types of things. We went, the Easter egg hunt, I know she's gonna talk about it as well, but to go there and to see the collaborations with like the local church and everyone, and to see the families having such an incredible time. And she is the first one in the system to come up with the idea of music and movement, which has now been spread throughout the entire library. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Ashley before.
She's my library.
She actually talks about Edgehill. So Ashley, the floor is yours.
The way the staff here, while she gets up, has navigated this whole, the library's been closed so long, all of the neighbors knew what was going on. Even after the delays, the emails that went out through the neighborhood listserv, and I wish you could read the responses of the neighbors. So the neighbors were responding back, all this, and we miss you, and it was really just, she used it as a PR opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about Edgehill. Welcome to Edgehill if you've never been here before. Again, I'm Ashley Walker Tyler, the branch manager here. You all already know that we experienced a 5-week closure due to plumbing repairs, and we reopened on March the 6th. But during that time, we continued outreach, we continued programming, and we were able to visit schools such as Carter Lawrence, as well as Waverly Belmont. And some of the programs that we have here, we've introduced a program this month in collaboration with the Nashville Chess Club. So now we offer chess for adults every Wednesday. And then also we have a book club that we host every month, every first Thursday, and we also do lo-fi paint for children every other Saturday. And the kids can come here every Monday, Thursday, and Friday to get free meals. So it's a really good thing that we're doing a lot of great things at Edgehill. Some of our upcoming events that we have is our Edgehill Extravaganza. So we will have a huge community Easter egg hunt on March the 30th, and we'll have it right here in the home site, William Edmondson Home Site Park, directly behind us. But I've partnered with like 20 plus partners, a lot of different organizations, the police department, we have churches in the neighborhood, the Edgehill Village neighbors, and as well as a lot of neighborhood associations.
Organized neighbors of Edgehill.
Yes.
She has everybody.
Yes, a lot of people. So I'm super excited to be able to bring this to the community. We're looking for a great turnout. We're gonna have reptiles, food, everything you can.
Well, you always think of it,
everything you can imagine. Yes, reptiles.
She has taken an event.
Yes, we're taking it to the next level.
She's taken an event that the neighbors used to have. We used to put our money together and did the Easter egg hunt in the little pocket park. So now she's made it much bigger. The neighbors are still gonna do the candy and the eggs, but she's just, she exploded the whole thing.
Yes, we're gonna have a DJ, everything. So it is going to be an amazing event. I'm super excited about it. March 30th, come out 11 to 1. Very excited for that. And then we'll also have our tree planting event on April the 6th. So we will be planting over 25 trees in the Edison Home Site Park and Gardens, and as well as the Edgehill Library on April 6th at 9 o'clock. And that's all that I have.
Now, I noticed you have a sign here that says today is Monday, and it says what, sweet barbecue?
Yes.
Now, what is this?
So this is a part of our meals that we give 3 times a week to the children, and it's in collaboration with the Second Harvest Food Bank. So we always list our meal that they're able to receive for that day. And the kids enjoy it. We usually get about 20 kids that come to get the free meals.
So they pick them up and take them home.
And the
No,
children
they-
can read it.
No, they actually have to eat it here.
Yeah.
So that's part of the agreement
Requirement.
with Second Harvest, that when they come in, they do have to eat the meals here, and they also receive a milk with their meals. And then we also have a share table, so if there's something that they don't want, another child can grab it.
Does Second Harvest do that throughout the city?
I believe so, yes.
That's
At
amazing.
certain sites, you have
Certain
to apply.
I think you just have to have like low-income families, or there are some guidelines to it.
Wow.
You apply for the program. Like some of the daycares do it, and people can come in. After-school programs, that kind of thing.
Phenomenal.
She's added so much.
Any questions for Ashley?
Well, thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
Ashley.
you so much.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
So the library board retreat, about how much time do you want to devote to? You want a half a day or?
What did we do last time? Just,
It was a half a day.
was it half a day? That's what I
last time.
thought.
So if you think in terms of topics, so if you have a couple of topics,
Okay.
then there should be an engagement opportunity for us to fellowship.
Okay.
Right. Security, staffing, freedom of expression,
Okay,
strategy.
we gotta write it down. Okay.
Going like,
Okay,
this is what we
engage on
need to
to-
talk
okay.
about.
So that's it, I
Security.
think it's more than half a day.
I was gonna say, half a day is not enough.
It's not.
Security, and we have to do the plan, the continuous improvement plan.
So you have to
That
break
was
bread.
Yeah.
We have to share a meal or two.
Uh-huh.
And we did
The continuous improvement plan, we want to discuss security. What else did you say?
Just freedom of expression, banned books. I mean,
Okay,
that is not going away. There's
okay.
all the tension within our community. And we're standing in the middle of it, trying to be impartial, and it's not easy.
I'd like us to discuss digital programming.
Digital programming.
I'm sorry, this table keeps me.
We have all day on, yeah, we need a week. Okay, so we have security, the continuous improvement plan, the freedom of expression, banned books, data program. We do have to discuss a search too.
Yeah,
At
I
some
was gonna
point.
say we have to say so.
We need to discuss a search.
Oh, why?
Well, no, it's very good. I think that, as we've been talking to the council people, you know, because it is a concern of theirs, but I think they're understanding the way the process is set up and why we did what we did as it aligns with the process, the metro processes, and have given some suggestions as to what we need to do, you know, going forward. So but we need to talk about it.
Right, we need to decide
We
what.
need to talk about it. Go ahead.
No, I'm completely agreeing with you on that, that's all I'm gonna say, but I am gonna circle back. I think, as I recall, and I might be misremembering this, but I feel like that we did have lunch last time, but we ate it while we were working, which is not what Rosalind's talking about.
Right.
You know, you're talking about so just, again, I agree that we should have a longer time, and let's not be trying to cram down lunch while we're
Okay.
Doing it,
having
yeah.
discussions around the
Talking,
table.
thinking, working.
Yeah,
Right.
that really does need to be time where we're talking to each other and not,
And I think one of the things to think about is, you know, you went through a search and there was a process, but what were the things that went well? What were the things that didn't go so well? What are the things you want to change for this time moving forward? You know, for instance, like thinking about what are the things that you're looking for in this next director? Because I think in order to, it was good that you all reviewed the actual job description, but in my mind, I'm thinking once you determine like what are the things that you're looking for, then you can review the job description again, so that then that, you know, when you're going in and thinking about interview questions and even just what are you looking for in a recruiting firm, so that when whoever goes in to actually select that recruiting firm, there are, and I'll use the example of when we used to pick architects back at Wake County, we used the forced choice matrix like Joyce was talking about, but we would say, okay, we want this firm to be local. We want them to have not only library experience, but we want them to have public library experiences. So there's things that you do with the matrix that then helps you to be able to get the outcome of that recruiting firm that you're looking for. So those are the things I was thinking about.
And we were naive when we did it. Because we didn't really understand.
Well, let me tell you.
I don't, it was, the process of working through Metro procurement was new.
Yes.
And we thought we understood how to do the things you just said well, but we didn't really.
Right, and I think that as, in my conversation with Council Lady Sepulveda, these are some of her recommendations. She said that, first of all, remember they're talking about changing the procurement process. So we need to talk about what changes would we want to get a person that we wanted. She's suggesting that we talk with procurement and that we really talk about a scoring process. And we need to talk about, you know, we had appointed the committee, but then we need to talk about the Metro process of the committee, what we want our committee to do, but what are they going to be allowed to do? We're going to have to talk about process throughout this. And remember, and as Terry is saying, we wanted the search firm to really, remember we had the advisory group of the former mayors or whatever, but the search committee never reached out to them. So she's saying, put all of that, we need to put down everything that we want a search firm to do. In terms of reaching out to the staff, our expectations is what basically she's saying. We need to think through what our expectations are and then figure out again how that aligns with the Metro process, a Metro procurement process, all of that. And legal, we have to talk about.
But I want to be careful, and I may completely, everybody may disagree with me on this, and so if the case, then it doesn't matter what I think because I lose. But when I think at the retreat, we need to talk about every single thing that has been discussed here. But I don't believe that our job at the retreat is to outline the next search process.
No.
In terms of, we're going to start it here, I think it needs to be in more ways an assessment of what you just said, what we did right, what we did wrong, what we would want to do in the next time. But I don't want to set an expectation, and I don't want to set a public expectation that we would come out of the retreat and say, all right, we're going to start, let's just say if the retreat is, you know, September 1, I don't know when, but you know what I mean? Okay, the search begins in a week. I just don't think.
These are discussion items.
Exactly. I don't want us to sit here today and predetermine something that we have not discussed yet.
Right. And some of this has to be pre-work, you know. And it may be, like you're doing the pre-work for the continuous improvement so that we can discuss. We might make some assignments to do pre-work.
Yeah.
You know, talk with procurement, where they are in the process. And we might want to talk about the difficulties that we had that they need to address so that we can, yes, sir.
I think it would help as the agenda item on the retreat. You're not talking about the executive director or the library director search itself. You're talking about the procurement process if you elect or decide to seek a search firm. And I think what you all are wanting to discuss, if I'm hearing correctly, is the specific solicitation items that you want procurement to post. that you're, and again, it's just discussing, you're not reaching a decision, but what you liked about the solicitation the last time for that search firm and what you think can be improved on, just to build out what specifics you want for these, if you elect to go a search firm.
Or if we elect to go with Metro Procurement, because this is the first time in the history of this library that when searching for a new director, we went through Metro Procurement.
Right.
We are not required to do that, and we have never done that in the past.
See,
And
Another
so
option.
we're jumping to these conclusions that, let's go back to Metro Procurement and tell them this is what we like and this is what we don't like, but
You may want to discuss what can Metro's HR division offer, because they've conducted, I'm not saying for libraries, but they've conducted searches nationwide for other department heads, and they may.
there are lots of ways to.
I thought we had to go through procurement.
We did
And I
because
did
we
too.
were asked to by the last mayor. We have never done it that way in the past.
I see.
Okay.
The phrase I'd written down was strategy with government. So trying to understand, they're over here, how do we, you said it a minute ago, what do we need and what do we do to get from government what we need? In the best of ways, I don't mean that sort of maliciously, but.
So that we all collaborate together
Yeah.
to do what's best for the library and for the city. We get it, yeah.
I'm wondering what it might look like if we design an agenda, right? And then maybe the learning content that we're responsible for. So maybe some asynchronous work that we do before the retreat, but also bringing in the partners that that have expertise in these areas so that we can come prepared with questions and can actually think about strategy. Because I think without doing or having space to do the homework before, to understand, okay, this is where my mindset is, these are the gaps or questions, and then having the experts in place could probably push us in a better direction than just conversation.
And then, if you tell me then it's September, then that's productive time that we're spending.
Yes.
We're not just kicking the can down the road and saying we're not doing that
Exactly.
now. We are applying ourselves to this
Right, there's
process.
work to be
I'm
done
totally on
So
board
you're
with that.
looking for a full day? We're talking about a
Oh,
full day,
yeah.
so-
A weekend now.
Yeah, okay. We got it, thank you.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
So do you want for an agenda item at the next meeting to be starting the process of talking about?
Okay, well, we want, we can start thinking about what a draft agenda might look like and a process looking for.
And I like giving us all homework to do.
Yeah, me
And a
too.
responsibility.
Yep, and I'll take homework, because I know for a fact I will not be in attendance for the April 16th meeting. I'll be out of town.
Okay, and we have to find out, Keith is a heavy travel schedule, you too. I think we have to plan around your schedule and what September might look like, where you all will be able to attend all day long.
Yes, I'll make September work. I just already have plans for September.
Yeah, for
April.
I know April, okay.
I don't know if it's too much, but if we have to call for a special meeting to prepare for that, I'd much rather prepare for a retreat since it's a full day that we're calling for, so that we have all of the experts, aligned for the presentations or the homework to make sure that it's all intact. If we need to call for a special meeting, I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
And what about a ropes course?
And also be thinking about the location that you want to have it, because the other part is, we have the boardroom and we have, all the other facilities.
I want to go back to Belmont.
Yeah.
We had the most perfect place last time. I don't know if we're still welcome. I'm not sure. Did we leave the place a mess or whatever, but it was very nice.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I have to see what day and what's available. So full.
I didn't say that for pressure. I just meant
I got
in terms of picking places, it was great.
And then the other thing to think about is a facilitator.
Facilitator too.
As well.
I was telling Terry that we have a gentleman, she talked about somebody.
So we had Elle come last time. She was recommended by the Center for Nonprofit, and she felt like with what we had already organized for that, she didn't feel like she could take, I mean, she took the money, but she said, you know, I'm open to coming back and facilitating another retreat for you all, just because I didn't feel like I did much. And so, but I think, you know, the other thing is just making sure we get the right fit too.
We need to go, and I told her, I have to do some more investigation. There's a gentleman who is new at Belmont, and he does strategic planning, PhD. He's a former Marine.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
So strange.
of course. But I'm sitting on another task force with him, and he really brings it. So I'll just have to see. He's new to the city. It's good sometimes to have outside and outside.
Yes, yes.
And he has a worldview.
And depending on the agenda, you could break it up. You want to engage the person to come back and do one part, somebody do another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
and she
different
also,
moods, two different engagements.
that's true,
I
because
think we
with it
thought-
being a whole day last time, it was at the afternoon.
Okay. We have a lot. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other items? Move to adjourn.
Second.
Need
I need a second.
Needs no second. All right, we are adjourned.
Hey, Terry,
1:33.
when somebody says to me, Richmond's about to be ready.